It's time to get inside the Giants Huddle.
Let's go!
On Giants.com.
I like it.
And the Giants mobile app.
Boom, give me some juice.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's roll. Welcome to the Giants Huddle Podcast. It is brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the New York Giants. I'm Paul Dottino, and he is Markus Kuhn, former Giants defensive tackle. He was here from 2012 to 2015, former 7th-round pick out of NC State. And Markus, it's great to see you because this is a great year to be back involved with the Giants, 100th season, and a year in which we're going to Germany.
That's right. I'm very excited to be here with you, first of all, and also back with the Giants, of course.
All right, well, let's make sure people understand. Week 10, Giants, Panthers, Munich, Germany. That's November 10th, 9:30 a.m. New York time. What is that in German time?
3:30 p.m. So we have a 6-hour time difference to Germany.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a good time for a game? They usually start mid-afternoon?
In the U.S., it's good because you can party a little bit earlier. You can start the Sunday fun day a little bit earlier. And in Germany, 3:30 p.m., I mean, it's a good time to watch a football game, I would say.
All right, so Markus is officially the brand ambassador and content strategist for the Giants, in addition to a host of things, which we will get to in just a couple of minutes, because he has been a busy camper since he hung up the cleats. But since you are back in this facility, give me some of the vibe that kind of resonates with you when you see the uniform, see the helmet, and know that your professional career, while you did go to the Patriots for a cup of coffee but didn't play a regular season game.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
You're a Giant.
Yes.
And what does that mean to you as you go around and promote professional football?
I mean, you know, being born and raised in Germany and coming over here in 2007 now, I've been actually living in the U.S. now for 17 years, which is crazy to think about. But then the Giants drafted me in 2012 after they won the Super Bowl. You come into a locker room right away with guys who just became world champions, right? Eli Manning, Justin Tuck, Osi Umenyiora. I mean, my position group was pretty special and a big reason the Giants won the Super Bowl. And then all of a sudden you hang out with these guys every day. And then I played for the Giants for 4 years, had a, in my opinion, better football career than I ever imagined as a kid growing up in Germany. And as you mentioned, I had a quick coffee break with the Patriots, didn't make the team after finally there. But I now had another stint with the Giants. So after I got my master's at Columbia, after playing, I actually was part of the John Mara's internship when they bring former players back. So I was here for 2 years. It was a little bit longer than an internship. It extended a little bit. So I worked here for 2 years in the front office on the football side and the business side. And now being back for the second time and working here now for the third time, it's obviously very exciting and means a lot to me.
Very cool. Now, I had read in your bio when I was getting ready here, because obviously I knew Markus when he played here, but I didn't know a lot about your background originally. I saw that in the German Football League, you played outside linebacker and defensive line.
And quarterback.
And quarterback.
Yeah.
All right. Now, see, I never knew this, so you need to explain this to me. Why those positions? Because clearly your body type says defensive line.
Yeah, well, I grew a little bit. So I don't know if it's the American diet or the exercise since I'm here. But no, I was a little smaller when I was growing up in Germany. And then the better athletes, the better players, you go play both ways. So my last 2 years, I was actually like the starting linebacker and starting quarterback. Never left the field. It was just something that we did. But then when I first came to America and I got a college scholarship, even my college coach back then told me, by the time you're leaving us, you're going to be a 300-pounder. And I was like, no way. I don't want to be a fat guy. But yeah, so it happened. I showed up at the combine exactly 300 pounds. I'm still trying to lose that.
Well, 4 years at NC State, did very well there with the college program, the Wolfpack. But here's the thing that surprises me. You hear about so many people over in Europe who want to go to soccer first because that's their football, right? But you decided that at a young age you wanted to play American football. Why?
Well, if you look like this, you don't have that many options, right? I don't look like a traditional soccer player. But when I first had a vacation with my family in America, when I was 14 years old, we did a trip to Florida, went to Disney World. And I saw American football on TV regularly, and I saw the big stadiums when we drove around in Florida. I said, you know what, this is actually a sport that would fit my personality. I really liked it right away. And I just joined a local club team. Actually, my sister, she's a few years older than me. She had some of her classmates who were in a local club team, and they took me to practice, and that was when I fell in love with the sport. Got bigger and better, and that's how I actually ultimately ended up in the U.S.
to be drafted is a pretty great accomplishment and a great story, because I can't imagine you even dreamt that would be the case, right?
No, I mean, funny enough, so when I got interest from the NFL Europe back then, I said, you know what, if I could technically play in this league, I could probably get a scholarship in the US. So in 2006, my dad and I, with a highlight DVD, flew to the US. Nobody has ever heard about me over here, and I literally showed up at a bunch of colleges with a highlight DVD, say, hey, I'm Markus from Germany, I can play football too. They all looked at me like I'm crazy. Good thing is we were very naive. We didn't know how big college football even was. So we hit up a bunch of schools, went to NC State, Duke, UVA, some smaller programs. A lot of these smaller programs offered me right away. And then NC State, my dad's name is Wolfgang. That was the Wolf Pack, so we kind of thought that was funny. So that worked out. And I ended up getting a scholarship at the Wolf Pack. Moved here, like I said, on May 17th, 2007, and haven't moved back, and I'm still happy that the sport is growing and I can support that.
Now, of course, you got to meet Michael Strahan, who was a Giants legend,
Yes.
and also has German roots because of the military background
Yep.
with his parents.
Yeah.
So,
Same hometown, pretty much, actually. Mannheim, Germany.
okay.
Yeah. So 2 of the Giants' great defensive linemen come from Mannheim, Germany.
Now, I remember Michael telling
He
me.
had a slightly better career than me, though.
Okay. Well, at least one of you's in Canton, right?
Yeah.
But I did hear from Michael one time. Didn't you guys go back to Germany to go see a game?
I didn't go with Michael, but I see, because I broadcast also for the German rights holder now.
Okay.
I see Michael regularly. We stay in touch. He has a connection, obviously, as you mentioned, to Germany. That's where we got along well when I was a player here, and we stayed in touch over the years. I see him at some games, Super Bowl, etc., quite often.
All right, so now Giants fans will remember when Markus was in the middle of that line, there were a bunch of other big-time players there too, but he had what I always thought was the most spectacular play of your career. You may disagree, but the scoop and score against Tennessee when he ran it in for a touchdown. It took a little while to get to the end zone, but
It just looked like it. It just looked like it. It was actually pretty. I wasn't. Nobody caught me, so it couldn't have been
There
that
you
slow.
go.
Couldn't have been that slow.
I think that the cool thing about it was, though, and why I was so happy for him, is that he had come back from a torn ACL. And that could have sidetracked you, especially someone who I think probably considered himself a long shot from the beginning. And then you make the team as a 7th round pick. Then you get the ACL, but you just persevered. To talk to me about that struggle.
I mean, it's like you mentioned. I never. It's like you mentioned. I've never expected that I would. So my goal was coming to America. I saw the stadiums, with the college stadiums, there's 60,000+ people sitting there. My goal was if I get to play once in a college game, I've kind of accomplished the holy grail. This was the goal. That happened relatively fast, and then to being drafted by the Giants was wild. I never really thought about going pro, or never thought I had the opportunity until like my senior year in college, when it seemed like, there's actually a shot to continue playing. Then I played right away my rookie year here with the Giants, tore my ACL, and then came back, had here and there some injuries, but like you said, in 2014, definitely the play is in Germany the most known for is the scoop and score, because I happened to be the first German to ever score a touchdown in the NFL.
I remember that. Yep.
So that's my claim to fame in Germany. But I have so many other moments that I look back on that definitely still stick in my mind too.
Did you keep the ball?
Of course, yes.
Where is it?
It's kind of the only football memorabilia I have out in my apartment in New York. So if you ever have a video call with me, you'll see it as my backdrop. Yeah.
Very, very, very cool. And of course, you had a sack against the Eagles here at home.
Yep.
I remember that too, because anytime a Giant sacks an Eagle, you always stick that in the back of your mind, because that's a good thing. That had to be fun.
Yeah, I had that, and I think I had a sack against the Jets too, against Sanchez one time.
Okay.
So I almost had as many touchdowns as sacks. I don't know if that speaks to my pass rush ability, since I only have one touchdown.
It's all
but
good.
It all worked out.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with you nowadays, because the cleats are hung up, the helmet's hung up,
Yep.
and as you said, you've done an awful lot. You've been around the Giants for a lot of years, but I want to ask you about GameDay.de, which, folks, I was surprised when Markus and I just talked about this before the show to find out that he had created this business on his own. And, of course, you've got a bunch of other things, too, but let's start with that.
Yeah, so obviously I know American football has been growing in Germany. It's one of the biggest growth markets outside of the US for American football. There's a reason we started playing games there. We even had 2 games in Germany last year. The Giants going back this year. So there's a lot of buzz happening. American football now is on the biggest free TV station in Germany, where I'm also broadcasting almost every Sunday. But certain things we still don't have is enough content and news around American football. We don't have fantasy football. So I said, you know what? I know where the sport is going. I know what we don't have. I know what's very popular in the US. So let me start the first German fantasy football platform. And there's also a Tippspiel where you can say, hey, the Giants are going to win by 3, by 7 or whatnot. It's not sports betting. It's just like a community coming together, playing together, saying who's going to win or not, and then obviously like the fantasy football part of it that we are very accustomed to in the US, but it's relatively new in Germany. But I think, it's definitely going to hit big eventually.
Well, let's just stick right there with the football part of it, because the Giants have this game over there, and as folks you may know, the NFL allowed certain teams in the league to get certain international marketing rights in certain nations. The Giants are one of those that have Germany's marketing rights, and that's all part of why this game is going to take place against the Panthers. How can the Giants fans get a flavor for what Germany is thinking about the Giants?
I mean, if you think internationally in general, everybody outside the US, when they think about America, most people think about New York City. So New York is, I feel like, the first thing that comes to mind when people think about America. So obviously there's a connection there right away, right? Mm-hmm. So you maybe have not heard about too many other sports teams, but most likely you've heard about the New York Giants. So I think that's why it's already in people's mind. When football became more popular in Germany, also the Giants were playing well. So they won the Super Bowl. If anybody from Germany will come to the US, like I mentioned, most likely they will do a pit stop in New York and check this out.
Well, having you played here had help.
Obviously. So that when the sport grew, and then I became the first German to score a touchdown, and did it in the New York Giants uniform, that created some buzz. But the Giants overall have been popular. I mean, the Giants were the last team before the international game series started that played in Germany as part of the World Games when they played in Germany in the 90s. So the Giants played in Germany as the last team. Now coming back this year, there's a big fan base in Germany. There's fan clubs that meet and watch together. So we have a good amount of Giants fans, but also we just have a ton of American football fans in Germany that still are undecided for the team. So we're trying to see if we can turn them into Giants fans.
Yeah, many years ago, Dan Reeves was the coach of the Giants back in the early 90s, and they went over to Berlin and played a preseason game over there. So we know there is a built-in kind of fan base for the Giants in Germany. What kind of atmosphere is this going to be like then? Is it going to feel like a Giants home game instead of a Panthers game?
Well, you maybe see jerseys in all colors. I know you've I don't know if you've been to London to
yes,
any of these games. So you look in the stands, right? A lot of times you see every jersey represented. But I definitely think the Giants are not in an enemy territory. It's definitely not a Panthers home game. There's a good opportunity, a good chance that there will be more Giants jerseys in the stands than there will be Panthers jerseys. But I think overall, if you haven't been to one of these games, even if it's a ticket holder in the US, Munich, the arena there, the stadium there is unbelievable. The atmosphere is electric. So I recommend anybody, if you have the opportunity to get tickets and get a flight, check it out. It's an unbelievable experience.
So they are converting a football field onto the soccer field.
So when the first game happened 2 years ago, when the Bucks played, and with Tom Brady, you can also see that the people that the NFL is bringing over, the teams that the NFL is bringing over, it means a lot. The German market means a lot. And they extended the stadium. They had to adjust the locker room because the locker room was made for soccer teams.
Too small.
25 guys, so they had to extend the locker rooms. They had to actually make the field a little bit longer, so certain changes took place. But actually the stadium itself looks a little bit like MetLife, the Allianz Arena.
Okay.
Just the way it's built. But yeah, it's the biggest, most modern stadium, or the most modern stadium at that size in Germany.
So where will the Giants and Panthers practice when they go over there?
So there's 2 practice facilities. I actually don't know what football has decided where exactly, but Bayern Munich, who also has placed their home games at that stadium, they have a big campus, a big facility, and most likely will practice in one of their facilities.
Okay, so now these games are being spread out all over the world as a part of this international program that the NFL has been undergoing now for several years. What do you think the future is of these games? We hear the commission every once in a while talk about putting a division over there or a team over there.
Yeah, I think that's going to be maybe the long plan or the long shot to get a division or more teams that settle in Europe. But I think definitely the fan base is big enough to sustain a team. We have 20 million football fans, people that are interested in American football in Germany. It's the second most watched TV sport after soccer. We have about 1 million people watching the NFL every weekend, every Sunday. We have millions of people watching the Super Bowl. When the Germany games was first announced, we had over 2 million people waiting in the queue to buy a ticket to one of these NFL games. So you see the fan base is there. The sport is growing. I don't know what will happen next, but I think it's just interesting to see that the next 50 million fans from the NFL are not going to come from the US, right? The market here is, everybody's already an NFL football fan. So that's going to be hard to get a lot more people excited about the game. Of course, you have different demographics that you also want to attract, but most likely your fans coming from international markets, and Germany is one of the biggest ones there.
Folks, football season is coming, and so is the next college semester. He doesn't have to go to North Carolina State anymore. He's done with that.
Yes.
Got his degree.
Been to school twice, so no more.
If you need funding, a Citizen Student Loan could help you pay for 100% of your school certified costs. Get your rate quote in about 2 minutes at citizensbank.com/payforcollege. Marcus, I want to ask you this. I remember back when the Giants went there in the early 90s, there was a lot of talk about U.S. military bases that were over there and how those folks were specifically thrilled to see American football come over there. Is that still the case now? And is that a big part of the surge for bringing the NFL over there?
We still have military bases in Germany, U.S. military bases. They are less than they used to be, but I actually think, yes, that's probably... that was the starting point. When you had Americans living in Germany, military that's excited you can see a game outside of their home country. But actually the most fans are Germans that are in the stadium excited about the game. Even when the games are played in the UK, a lot of the people going to these games are also from Germany. So Germany has... I don't know why exactly Germans love American football as much as they do, but most of the language you will hear in the stadium is German, and it's because most of the fans are from Germany in the stadium as well.
How big is the stadium going to be that they'll play?
Like 80,000 seats.
80,000. Yeah. And they'll be filled, 75,000 or 70,000 of the German locals?
Let's see, because the teams obviously get tickets, right?
Sure.
For their season holders. Let's see how many fans the Panthers will bring, how many fans the Giants will bring, but... all the tickets that go out to the public, will be going to some Germans.
All right, now there will be some Giant season ticket holders who are going to make this trip. There's no question about that. If you do, give them a tip or two as to what they might want to do during the days that they're there, in addition to seeing the game.
Well, also, if you think about Germany, most people probably think about what Munich looks like, right? It's like the traditional German or like Bavarian outfits with the lederhosen and the big beers and the good food, the German food. That's exactly what you should experience, right? You should go to a beer hall. You should eat traditional German food. You should maybe buy you some gear over there. It's just a fun experience. It's very safe. It's friendly. Everybody speaks English. That helps. You don't have to bring a translator. So I think you will just have a really good time if you immerse yourself in the culture and you check out how Germans celebrate our game.
Very, very cool stuff. All right, now Marcus has a lot of other stuff going on with the PA, the NFL PA, and the National Football League, et cetera, et cetera. Give us a quick capsule of some of the other things you're doing and how all of this will tie into ultimately what you're hoping to expand upon with this project.
So after playing here, like every former player, you have to kind of make up your mind where you going next, what's happening next. For me, while I made up my mind, I thought, let's get another degree, right? NC State is fine. I had a bachelor's there, but I went to Columbia here, got my master's in sports management. I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to stay in the field. I came back to the Giants, learned about an organization, how it works from a front office perspective. And then after that, I said, you know what? I just want to help the game and the sport grow internationally with Germany being so popular or having so many football fans. So I I started working with the NFL relatively fast, helped them as an ambassador, helped them with content. Obviously have some insights about how our league operates. A former player can always sell the game better maybe than just somebody that's works in an organization or works for the league. Then I support the NFLPA because they have a good opportunity to bring in current players over to Germany. So last year I brought with the NFLPA 8 active players into market. We did a trip to Frankfurt. They had a really good time over there. And then I worked with the Patriots. So the Patriots have been very active in Germany, started before what you mentioned, the teams could apply for these international markets. The Patriots were active with international content, so I support them there in their strategy. And then as you mentioned, I have game day, and I work with a charity as well where I'm on the board, so I stay busy.
It's interesting you mentioned before about the fan base over there. Do they have favorite players, or do they root more just for the game, or do they root for specific organizations?
Well, I think there's a mix. So I feel like overall the interest is primarily in the game first. And also, America is still cool, right? So America is the entertainment country of the world. So you have a cool sport, you have a great entertainment property, so people just enjoy watching the game. They like the fireworks around it, the excitement. They also like the different aspects of the game, right? You have the physicality, you also have the tactics right behind it, and I think that's what's very attractive to a lot of people, and also the diversity of people you have on the field. That speaks to a lot, and I think that's kind of the main point why Germans like it as much.
All right, so I'm going to have you put your football education to use, not your master's or your BA.
No, I'm worried.
What do you see from this Giants defense this year? Dexter Lawrence plays defensive tackle, a spot you know very well, and he's such a dominant player. What, besides the athleticism, which everybody can see, what impresses you the most about him?
I mean, just his personality, right? So I know Dex quite well. I've had a few run-ins with him. He's just a great person. It's very important for a locker room to have guys who are dominant players, but also fun teammates and guys you want to spend a lot of time with, which the football season is long, a lot of hours. It's not always easy. So a guy that makes it enjoyable, makes it fun, but then also goes out there and dominates. It's a great combination. So I think the Giants are lucky to have arguably one of the best, or maybe the best, interior defensive lineman in the NFL.
And then having Thibodeau and, of course, Burns now, the pass rushers off the edge.
That will help him out, too. So
for sure.
You got to double one of these guys, and that means some of them will be free. So
as someone who had an ACL, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Daniel Jones coming back off of one of those. Have you talked to him much? I mean, what would be your key advice to him as he tries to make it back to the field?
Well, the good thing is with Danny, he doesn't have to take on double teams like I had to do. So you have to have a lot less strain on your leg. So I think for a quarterback, we've seen many quarterbacks, right? Tom Brady had an ACL surgery.
Yeah, sure.
I think he did all right after that one as well. So I think it's more, your body holds up. You have a great sports medicine team here. You have great doctors and surgeons that the Giants will help you out with. So your body will hold up. I think to get in the right space and you get the confidence back that even if I get hit, I will be fine. I think that's the most important part, but I'm not worried about Dan in that regard.
Will his first game or his first hit that he takes on it be the most important hurdle he has to climb?
I think it's multiple hits, right? You have to get more and more comfortable with it. At first time, you're probably like, oh, is everything holding up? And then you think, oh, this is fine. Then you get another hit, and you maybe worried there. So the more you play, the more and more you will forget what actually happened. And eventually you will just move on.
All right. So again, the Giants and the Panthers in Munich, Germany on November 10th. 9:30 a.m. kickoff here, New York time. That is week 10 of the NFL regular season. I'm going to assume you'll be there all week.
Of course. Yes.
You're not going to miss it.
No, I'll be
way.
there. Yeah, I've made every Germany game so far. I won't miss this one.
Now, we can't maybe sneak you out onto the field for a couple snaps?
I don't think I'll be a big help. I maybe still look the part, but it's all show.
You certainly look it.
Yeah, it's just a show pony. So, that's it.
Markus Kuhn, former New York Giants defensive lineman, now a very big part of what's going on with the German game as a brand ambassador and content strategist.
I take it.
That, huh?
I take it. Yeah.
2 titles.
Perfect. Titles are free, but I take it.
I was going to say that means you mean double pay. Is it?
I don't know.
No?
I don't know. I'm just happy to be here.
Markus, thanks for the time. Great to see you. That's it for this edition of the Giants Huddle. I'm Paul Dottino. You can catch this and all of your Giants' favorite programming on the Giants Podcast Network. We'll see you next time, everybody.